literary devices. Whenever we hear this word, the first question that comes in our mind is, what are literary devices? So, the answer to this question is, the literary devices are the framework of any kind of piece of literature. Any literary work is just incomplete without the literary devices, because it works as the skeleton, as the framework of certain piece of literature, and all the techniques and tools that are used to form the literature, that piece of literature, are called the literary devices. So, there are different kind of literature works such as poetry or prose, the two major types. Okay, so how can we distinguish the literary devices in the text or in the poems or in the short stories or in a novel, etc.? First of all, to identify the you can say literary devices, you need to know what are the literary devices. So whenever you deal with a poetic piece of work, the first literary device you come to know is rhythm. What is rhythm? Rhythm depends upon syllables actually, and syllables are of two types, stressed and unstressed. Stressed syllables are the longer, louder, and the higher ones. The syllables that are pronounced longer, comparatively others that are pronounced louder, that are pronounced higher, are pronounced louder and strongly than the others. And the unstressed ones are the quieter, shorter, and the lower ones. Have reduced vowel often, and the reduced vowels include a and schwa sound. So, the basic distinction is that stressed vowels are longer, stressed syllables, and the unstressed ones are shorter, lower and higher, louder and quieter. Now come to the unstressed ones. What are the schwa and the sound deals with, or how can they be used in certain words? They are relaxed and easy to make sounds. Okay, for example, in the word apple, we can say that apple. A is the stress sound, and apple, at the end, the sound is the unstressed sound, because it is the schwa sound. The a is the stronger one, and schwa sound is the, you can say, quieter one. So the apple consists of two syllables, apple. The first one is stressed and the other one is unstressed. Next we can have another example, that is apply. Okay, apply. You do not say apply, you say apply. A sound. The a sound is unstressed sound. We already discussed that a and schwa sounds are the unstressed ones. So in apply, you are using the alphabet A, but you are not pronouncing it as a. Okay, you are not pronouncing it as a. You are pronouncing it as a sound. Apply, which is the shorter and the lower sound. Okay, let's have another example. Banana. Banana. So in this sound we have a as the strong ones, as the first one. A is as the unstressed one, which is the quieter one. A sound is the stronger one, and no. A sound again is the, you can say, unstressed syllable or the quieter sound. So this the second syllable will be louder, longer, and higher, and the first and the third syllable are unstressed syllables. So this was the concept of stressed and unstressed one. We discussed that stressed syllables are the ones that are the longer ones, and unstressed syllables are the ones that are the shorter ones, and you can say the quieter ones. Next we have a concept of onomatopia. What is onomatopia? The imitating of sounds. To imitate some natural sound is known as onomatopia. For example, you can say buzz is the sound of bees, hiss is the sound of wind, or you can say cuckoo is the sound of cuckoo, and splash is the sound of water. So we are imitating some sounds. We are not imitating or copying the object, or imitate means to copy. We are not imitating or copying the object or the characteristics. We are just copying the sounds. So onomatopoeia deals with the copying of sounds. Simile, the third concept. Simile is the comparison between two things. A comparison in which we use the word as or like. This is the only concept of simile, the very short and the very simple concept of simile, that a simile is the comparison in which we use the word as or like. For example, we say he is as handsome. We don't have certain examples for handsome, but we can say that a girl or that girl is as beautiful as the moon. So we used the simile here, and we compared the beauty of the girl with the beauty of the moon with the help of this word as. So this is what simile deals with, that we make a comparison in between two things by using the word as and like. Next we have hyperbole. You can pronounce it as hyperbole or hyperbole. Hyperbole is actually the exaggeration of the sound of, you can say, anything. It is mostly used by the poets or the authors to exaggerate or to emphasize some things. For example, they say in the poem Daffodils, we all discussed that poem in our intermediate, Daffodils. In the poem Daffodils, the poet says that there were thousands and thousands and thousands of daffodils dancing and tossing their heads. First of all, no one can count that daffodils, but the poet said that there are thousands and thousands and thousands. So he used hyperbole and just exaggerated it for the sake of emphasis. Okay. So next we have symbolism. What is symbolism? Symbolism is usually used in both kind of literature, both kind of genres. Either it is poetry or it is prose. Either it is fiction, non-fiction, novel, or you can say short story or poems or epic or any narrative piece. Symbolism is mostly, or you can say usually, used in literature. A symbolism is actually something in which a poet or the writer uses a symbol that stands for itself as well as the greater things than itself. It may be a person, an animal, or an inanimate object. Usually for symbolism, the writer or the poet often uses a concrete object for an abstract idea, a quality, an action, or an emotion. Concrete objects are the objects which we can, you can say, touch or see, while the abstract objects are the objects that are untouchable. So, the poet or the author deals with comparing the concrete object with the abstract quality, or you can say action or motion. For example, we say she is a moon. Okay, she's a moon. There is only one moon on earth, but here the moon actually symbolizes the beauty of the girl. So moon is a concrete object. We can touch it. The astronauts that went onto the moon, you obviously touched it. Okay, so we can touch it. And beauty is the concrete thing. We cannot touch it. We can just see it, we can feel it, but we cannot touch it. So what the author do, he uses the concrete objects for the abstract ideas. It may be used, symbolism may be used for clarifying the meaning or emphasizing or conveying any idea. Quite simple. It is used to convey some idea or to emphasize something. Next, we have concept of mood. Mood usually comes in the poetry. The literary devices that are used in poetry include the mood. Mood is actually the atmosphere or the situation created by poet in the poem. You can say the poet uses the words and the images to create mood, and purpose can help in determining the mood. For example, um, if a person is trying to convince someone, he will obviously create the convincing atmosphere. He will create some situations which will help him convincing the other person. And if the person is angry and he want to scold, then he will obviously create a scolding situation. So mood actually depends upon the purpose, and purpose can help in determining the mood. Or mood is the atmosphere or the situation created by the poet in the poem. Next, we have diction. In any kind of literature or any kind of work, you will deal with this thing. What is diction? Diction is the language of the poem, how the words are chosen for a precise meaning. Diction may be consist of harsh words, or the consoling words, or the polite ones. For example, we have some harsh words like burden. Oh, he is a burden on me. Okay? So this kind of words cannot be used in an appropriate formal situation. And rich, saucy, pedantic, wretch, busy, old, fool, unruly son. So these are some kind of you can say languages that cannot be used in the formal situation. You can never say a person that, oh, you are a burden on me. You can never say what a fool you are. So these kind of words are come in the harsh side, and usually poets use these words, but only when they want to show some anger or some, you can say, frustration. So the poet uses the harsh kind of dictionary. But here to discuss the harsh dictionary is only the with the single purpose of making you people understand that what diction deals with. Diction is the use of language in the poem. How the words are used in a poem deals with diction. Okay. Tone. Mood and tone are two different things. Do not confuse these things with each other. Mood is the atmosphere created by the poet, but tone is the attitude toward his subject. Okay, how he behaves with his subject actually makes the tone of the poet. For example, if we see the poem A Valediction Forbidden Morning, in this poem, Jordan is actually trying to convince his beloved that whatever happens, we just have to take a leave with a very smiling face. Forbidding morning, we cannot cry, or we cannot say some, you can say, the such kind of sentences which can raise a question on our love and all that stuff. So the major purpose of discussing valediction here is that the tone of the poet is convincing. He is trying to convince his beloved to allow him take a leave for a few time. So tone is the attitude of the poet toward his subject. Okay, imagery. What is imagery? The use of words to create the images in the minds, in the reader's mind. Obviously, any person writing something or creating some sort of idea will use such words which can convince the readers to take certain things under consideration and to help the readers to imagine the scenery. So, imagery are the words that are used to create pictures in the reader's mind. It appeals our five senses: touch, taste, see, hear, and all our five senses are involved in this. So, imagery deals with the use of words to create pictures, and next come to lines and stanzas. Lines and stanzas are the basic structure of a poem or a poetry. The lines collectively make a stanza. 3 to 4 lines or 5 to 7 lines collectively make a stanza. And a stanza is a collection of lines which carry a different meaning from the previous stanza. Every stanza in a poem will convey a different meaning. You can't say a different meaning, but a meaning slightly distinguished or slightly different from the previous one. So, lines and stanzas are the basic framework of the poem. Next, allusion. What is an allusion? Allusion is a reference from some authentic piece of work. Authentic piece of work means you can say some biblical references, or the references from Quran or from any other holy book, or you can say any historical event. These are the references. If they are given in any piece of work, then there will be an allusion. Allusion means an authentic reference. For example, the reference of 7 sleepers in Good Morrow. In the poem Good Morrow, the poet gives the reference of the 7 sleepers. So these were some literary devices that are used in the poem or any piece of work. Mostly they are used in both poetry and prose, but usually they are used in poetry. So that's all about the poetic devices. I hope you find this video useful, and if you find this video useful, just share it with your friends so that they can get the same information you got from this video. Thank you for watching.